So the most simple thing I can say with Lumen is when you're measuring with Lumen, this switch going from carbohydrates to fat, I found the most difficult. And if you're craving and if you're lazy, you're not moving, so you're not burning energy at the fast rate that you could be. And if you're craving, you're likely to eat something and you're not craving blueberries, you're craving something a little bit more calorific. So you're gonna be moving less, eating more. We wanna switch that over to a bit more moving right and eating the right foods so we can make this switch smooth. And as you build up your metabolic flexibility, you're gonna find it so much easier to keep active, to not have these cravings to deal with all the time. But we wanna just push through this first little dose when you're making this gear change. You wanna make those gear changes faster. So use some of the tips in this video and let me know how you get on. Hey, Angus here, and today I'm going to cover the simple way to use Lumen to get the best effect from it. So we need to cover just a few things first of all. So first up, we need to cover what is metabolic flexibility. So metabolic flexibility is the way your body uses fuel source, moving between fat and carbohydrates, and how smooth that change is. If you're feeling a difficult gear change between burning carbohydrates and moving down into fat, and that's difficult for you and you're getting symptoms like cravings, tiredness, that shows a sign of lack of metabolic flexibility. If you're looking to improve your metabolic flexibility and you don't yet have Lumen, you can use my discount code to get yourself a nice hefty discount. Now, a lot of people have this lack of metabolic flexibility and they're gonna have some of those symptoms. And one of the things you should be looking out for that is when you're measuring with your Lumen and say it's the morning and you wake up with a 4, it's gonna take a little while for your body to burn through those carbs. You're constantly burning energy all the time. And if you're measuring 4, that means you're burning predominantly carbs and you need to burn through those carbs. But as your body is switching down fuel sources and trying to access this fat, it's almost like your body doesn't know it has fat stores. It's almost as though it only knows about carbohydrates. So you'll get tiredness. The tiredness is to save the energy, so you're not burning energy as fast. You'll stop moving, you'll stop moving your hands about, you'll get tired, and you'll kind of slouch a little bit. Or the other thing that will happen, or the other thing that will happen is that your cravings will increase. And those cravings aren't for things like blueberries or bananas, apples. Those things are for hardcore carbohydrates, mostly simple and mostly maybe processed carbohydrates. The trouble with some of these processed carbohydrates is they come with a lot of fat as well. So if you take a chocolate bar, yes, there's some simple sugars in there, but there's also a lot of kind of useless, disgusting fat in these things. And although these things are delicious, they're pretty bad for your health overall. And what will happen is you'll eat one of these chocolate bars, your number will move up in Lumen as you process those carbohydrates, will be accessed really, really quickly, and that fat will just go and store as fat, and you'll be in the exact same problem again. You'll be at 4 and you'll be dipping down, and then you got 2 options again. You're gonna get tired or you're gonna crave, and then you might start that cycle all over again. We need to break that cycle if we wanna access this fat. And once you're in that fat burning mode, you're gonna feel so much better. You're gonna feel less cravings, you're gonna feel more energy, not like an unbelievable amount of energy like you can run up a mountain, but you just feel a nice stable energy supply. But that gear change, moving down from say a 4 through a 3 down to a 2 to a 1, can be quite difficult. So here's some of the tips that I would use. And I'm not talking as someone who's been a lifelong fitness fanatic. I'm talking about someone who was fattest kid in high school, really suffers with this metabolic inflexibility, and currently just now I've just gone through sciatica. I've just had this vertigo thing, which is like a little crystal goes into your inner ear, so you feel like you're coming off a roller coaster. So my metabolic flexibility has gone from a 20 on a Lumen score right down to a 9 this morning. So these are the tips that I'm implementing myself to get back into gear now that the sciatica is mostly gone and the vertigo has mostly gone. Here's a few tips if this is what you're measuring. So you're measuring a 4 with your Lumen and you feel your body is coming down and you're getting some of these symptoms like the tiredness, the cravings, etc. So one of the first things you can do is if it's time for a meal or you're particularly hungry, why don't you eat? But just miss out these simple carbohydrates and go for a more protein, fat-based meal. These can help your body, as these digest, you'll get more fat in your bloodstream, and then your body, your cells will start eating up this fat, and it will kind of help you switch over to this fat burning, almost like adding logs into the fire. So if you think of carbohydrates as kindling, and if you think of fat as logs, when you put these into the fire, the fire is preferentially wanting this kindling, these carbohydrates. But if you can put a few logs and get these ignited, your body will learn to sense, hey, we've got fat available and we'll have some of this fat and we'll burn through this fat. So that's tip number one, go for a protein-based meal and kind of leave out the carbohydrates for these. You can also add in some complex carbohydrates, potatoes, other vegetables are also really beneficial. The fiber in those will really help to sort of stabilize your blood sugar and get you moving over into this fat burning zone where you'll have energy available, but in just a more stable fashion. Tip number two is just fast it out. Your body's going through this process and it's just going to take however many calories you burn per hour, or how much carbohydrates you're burning through and how much carbohydrates you have to burn to get this kind of metabolism to switch over to fat. So you can just fast out, keep yourself occupied with other tasks, and your body will eventually burn through these carbohydrates and make this gear change. It will be difficult and it will be slightly uncomfortable, but it won't be as uncomfortable as you think. It's not like getting shot in the leg. You're just hungry and you're just cravey a little bit. If you can fast it out, try that. It's really beneficial and it might help you out. Next tip is add in some exercise, and it doesn't really matter what type of exercise. You're burning carbs, you have carbs in your system. When you do exercise, you're actually speeding up the rate of which you're burning calories, or the rate of which you're burning energy, and currently you're burning carbohydrates. You'll open up more cells. Some of these cells are sleeping because they're not needing to be used. When you add in exercise, you open up these cells, you have more cells to put more of this kindling in to clear it, so you can start dipping into these bigger logs, these bigger fat burning logs. So give exercise a try, and it can be something light like a walk, it could be like a mini little workout, it can be just some body weight movements, jump on an indoor cycle, go out for a cycle, go out for a walk, go out for a run, whatever you want. Any type of movement is way better than sitting, so just do it to your own level, and this can make a big change. So if you like these sort of tips, hit like and subscribe, because I'm making a few more videos as I kind of rebuild my health after my recent health crisis of sciatica and vertigo, and just the small tips that I'll be doing to just improve the little health markers that will result in fat loss, fitness gains, metabolic health changes, and that sort of thing. So hit like and subscribe. And again, if this video was helpful for you, please just drop a comment. Let me know what you're interested in and what you would like to know, and I'll see if I can help you out with that. Another trick we can try is some breath work. There's a 4-7-8 breathing protocol. I have a podcast recorded and it's just the breath work. There's no like crazy little adverts or anything in there. It's just the breath work. Do a 4-second inhale, 7-second hold, 8-second exhale. Another simple way of doing kind of breath work is you just make the exhale longer than the inhale, and that helps down regulate the system, and you'll find that will come down. Particularly if your reason for burning carbohydrates in that time isn't a dietary one, like you've eaten carbohydrates, it's more your body moving into that fight or flight stage, and you don't need to be in that fight or flight stage, and you just want to move over into this more rest and digest stage and kind of fat burning stage. They're all heavily associated together. Then try that breath work. I think a lot of people will find that really beneficial, really useful to do in the morning, just to sort of regulate yourself in the morning, particularly if you have that kind of cortisol dump in the morning. So another thing you can use is MCT oil. MCT oil just means medium chain triglyceride. So you've got longer chains of fat, so it's just a medium chain of fat, and you also get short chains of fat that your body will make by converting fiber into that. Your gut bacteria does that. But MCT oil is a dietary oil that you can get. There's loads of them available. The C8 is generally the better, and the C10 can cause a little bit of tummy digestion. So something to watch out for. Use a lot less than you think if you're new to MCT oil. And it's really good for a little stopgap. So if you think of the carbohydrates as kindling, and if you think of fat as big logs, this is just a kind of medium log. So as you're transitioning from carbohydrates, you kind of use MCT oil, which will help you burn these bigger logs. And because it works like a fat, but it can't be stored as a fat, it will go around your circulation and it will give you some energy, especially if you're metabolically inflexible. It can work out as a hack. Don't forget, it still contains calories. So while you're burning the MCT, say you have 100 calories, I would start off with about 50 calories, which is about 5 mil of MCT oil. That will take you 50 calories of time to burn through. So while you're burning that, you're not burning anything else. So it's not a free supplement, as in it does have a caloric cost to it, but that's another tip to try out. The final tip is kind of combining these things together. So if you wake up in the morning and you measure a 4, you could go for a little walk. Going for a little walk will kind of speed up your metabolism, burn through some of these carbohydrates, then you can extend your little fast period, maybe an hour, maybe 2 hours, maybe longer if you want, it's up to you. And then you can break your fast in the morning, have your break fast in the morning, and you could try a kind of protein and fat meal in the morning to extend your fast. You could even have some MCT oil in your coffee if you want to kind of do a fat fast and extend that time out while you're in fat burning mode a little bit longer. You got to think about the rest of your day, what you're going to be doing. But if you're metabolically inflexible, the main thing I would say is getting over this hump. You can force it through with exercise, you can fast it out, and you can also do some nutritional hacks to use a different substrate to burn through. And you can also do some breath work to help lower your system if you feel that you're burning carbohydrates, but you have not eaten a lot of carbohydrates, or your carbohydrate or your diet has been particularly low carb for a while. So try out those tips. Let me know which ones work for you. If you're looking to improve your metabolic flexibility and you don't yet have Lumen, you can use my discount code to get yourself a nice hefty discount.